Hi, everybody. We're about to go live. Actually, we are already live. Okay, just waiting for audience to come in. As we speak. Wow, I've got my very first landed property client watching in. Hi, Mr. Koo. Welcome on board. Before I introduce my guest for today, this is going to be interesting. Let's just wait for a few seconds. The guest that I have today is he's been in the industry for more than 20 years. Okay, he's a very good friend of mine. We have co-broked a lot of cases together, and it was not easy for me to get him to come online and share his experiences in a very short space of time, because I just asked him whether he could do this like 2 days back. All right, and I was very glad that he actually agreed to this. Okay, and so let me, without any further ado, introduce to you Mr. Max Maran from my very good friend. He's been a good friend for me for 11 years. Welcome to the show, Mr. Max.
Yeah. Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. All right. Let me just introduce yourself to the audience. Okay. There's people just coming in, slowly trickling in, and these guys, you guys can ask us any question at any point in time. We are able to see your questions and at the same time conduct the interview. So, Mr. Max, maybe you can just introduce yourself in the meantime while people are coming in.
Yeah, hi, I'm myself, Max Martin here. I've been in property for almost 20 over years, 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known the Rama almost 10 or 11 years ago. I think we co-broke
Our first
one of
case.
the property transactions.
Yep.
And, actually prior to that, his manager invited me to give a talk. Yeah, that's where I first met him, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hi,
All right.
everyone.
Yep, Max. So let's get to the first question. Okay. As a matter of fact, even before I started the show, I already had a lot of questions coming in via my WhatsApp. Okay. So one of the most common questions, I'm quite surprised why this was one of the most common question is, how do you market original condition landed property houses? I mean, this was something that a lot of people asked.
Yeah, it is a little. It's going to be a bit tough
Mm-hmm.
because most of the time, the buyer who buys an original house is usually a developer
Okay.
or another investor,
Mm-hmm.
usually professionals. They
Mm-hmm.
already got multiple property. They have done this before. They
Mm-hmm.
buy, they do some addition and alteration work, and
Mm-hmm.
they sell it for profit, say about
Mm-hmm.
maybe 400,000 to 600,000 profit.
Okay.
And for ordinary buyers, usually they don't buy unless location or their
Mm-hmm.
in-laws are nearby or the family is nearby, but they're
Mm-hmm.
going to incur a lot of money,
Okay.
expenses, where
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
renovation or construction cost is concerned.
Okay. So, like you say, developers and investors are the ones that are mostly interested in original condition houses. So, are they the first few people to give you a call when you start listing the property?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Normally, I keep records, and usually we know, but they will, of course, speak as though they are like genuine. I mean, they are all genuine buyers, but
Mm-hmm.
they will never identify themselves that they are
Mm-hmm.
developers,
Okay.
uh, because they think that they might then the sellers will be asking for skyrocket price because they're
Okay.
developers. Obviously, they can afford. So
Mm-hmm.
they will just come like a family, husband, kids to come
Mm-hmm.
and have a look, and then they make an offer. But the
Okay.
offer usually is quite low, and that
Okay.
makes sense because as a developer, they have to incur the development costs and all that.
Okay. So, do you even before marketing handle these developers? I mean, I'm sure you have a list of all the developers because you've been marketing landed property for a long time. Okay.
Mm.
So, and I'm sure all these times that you're marketing landed property, these developers eventually come there, and then you somehow identify that at the end of the day they're developers. So you
Yeah.
save their number. So, do you actually engage them even before marketing the property? Do you do
Yeah,
that?
prior to my marketing, normally I will send out information to a
Okay.
group of a pool of buyers that I have, whether
Okay.
they are keen to buy,
Mm-hmm.
and the good points about this property,
Mm-hmm.
whether you can make some money out of it in future, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're locking in the price, and of course, the seller must be very realistic on the price.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a nearby projects where it is totally done up
Mm-hmm.
and brand new. Say
Okay.
you're marketing at 4 million, we
Mm-hmm.
can't be marketing a original condition out at 4 million.
Okay.
I mean, it is doesn't make sense at all. Yeah.
Okay, since you brought up the topic of the topography of landed property being one totally built up, well
Mhm.
renovated house, and then next thing you see beside it is the original condition house, and then followed by maybe another one that was built like 20 years ago. So do these different conditions of the house affect a price of a particular property when you're marketing it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there are few ways to there are few perspective to look at.
Mm-hmm.
First, the land cost.
Okay.
Second, a property is done up.
Mm-hmm.
Not all properties are built in the same manner. The
Mm-hmm.
materials, the
Mm-hmm.
quality that goes into a property
Mm-hmm.
uh, differs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When I was marketing a property in Carey's Drive,
Mm-hmm.
I literally normally when a property comes to me, I'll go and do a study on the whole property. What
Mm-hmm.
kind of materials I used? What kind
Okay.
of flooring?
Mm-hmm.
Marble, there are many types.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There are cheap ones. There are Rolex marble. Just like
Mm-hmm.
watches, you got
Okay.
Rolex, you got Casio, you got different make. But
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, you can see the same time.
Mm-hmm.
For landed property is the same thing. Even
Okay.
the glass panel, the locking mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
the locks and mongeries, it
Mm-hmm.
can varies. For three
Okay.
panels, it can be a $10,000
Mm-hmm.
sapphire window. But you can also have a Malaysian made or Singapore local made aluminium. You can finish it off in $2,000.
Mm-hmm. See,
So
the reason, sorry,
materials,
sorry to stop you there, Max. Okay, the
yeah,
reason why I asked this question is because when you're marketing private properties, like for example, condominiums and everything, there's comparative analysis, so you can easily get valuation of a particular house. But when it
right,
comes to landed property, I mean, the difference is so vast. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
what
it
you
differs.
just mentioned. The quality of items that's being used in a
Yes,
particular house will differ from the neighbor, and things like foundation of the house, whether when it was built, the condition, and all these things.
correct.
So, what do you think is the right way to identify the correct valuation? What do you think we should be doing?
Usually, I'll talk to the seller, ask
Mm-hmm.
him, who did you engage? Do you
Mm-hmm.
have the bills that you still have? How
Mm-hmm.
much you paid your architect? What are
Mm-hmm.
the materials used? Everything I'll ask them. And
Okay.
then when a buyer comes in, I will explain to them why
Mm-hmm.
are you buying
Mm-hmm.
this house
Okay.
probably at $1 million more is
Mm-hmm.
because of this.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
materials used, the windows, a sapphire window,
Mm-hmm.
uh, including the electrical sub panel that is being run on every level. It's very
Mm-hmm.
technical. It's going to be like an engineering talk if I would go further on this. It is
Mm-hmm.
all about materials used and type of conduit.
Mm-hmm.
How long can this heavy duty type of conduits,
Mm-hmm.
electrical sub
Mm-hmm.
panel, DB board, is it a German made or is it
Mm-hmm.
a China made? It makes a lot of difference.
Okay, I've got a very interesting question from my buyer, my very good buyer. As a matter of fact, he was my buyer for my first landed property that I ever closed in my career. So, welcome to the show, Mr. Koo, and thank you for your question. Well, Max, he is
Hi.
asking you, how will the current COVID-19 pandemic affect Singapore landed properties in the near and long-term future? As in, what do you think would happen to the? I believe he's asking about the prices, the shift in prices.
I mean, if you're a buyer, you want to crash your price using COVID-19. But if you're a seller who can sustain and hold your property, I'm very sure you are aware that with the current pandemic, everybody will use that as a reason to
Mhm,
bring down the price.
mhm,
But having said that, if you can hold your property, all
mhm,
right, with God's grace,
mhm,
you have that sustainability and the holding power. Best thing is if you don't have loan, you're lucky.
mhm,
But however, having said that, if your
mhm,
businesses are affected
mhm,
due to COVID-19,
mhm.
then there is a possibility that you might want to sell it because you need that money. But if
Okay.
you don't have that urgency to sell, I
Mhm.
don't see any reason why the price is going to crash down. Because
Absolutely.
uh, we have gone through many pandemic. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, this COVID-19 is something that is whole world is affected,
Mm-hmm.
and the impact will be known
Mm-hmm.
later
Mm-hmm.
because nobody can. The reason, the best thing I can say for Singapore,
Mm-hmm.
thank God the government is helping. If the
Mm-hmm.
government not going to help, there are going to
Mm-hmm.
be a lot of problems.
Yep.
Definitely, there will be impact.
Mm-hmm.
But because the government have moved in and up, they are also covering up to 75% of the employees' income. Training is being given.
Mm-hmm.
Self-employed people are being given certain grants,
Mm-hmm.
freebies here and there. Help
Yep.
is always there from our government.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see much impact
Mm-hmm.
unless you're directly infected or
Yep.
directly affected via
in,
business and
in,
all.
in other in other things like businesses and work wise and
Yes,
everything, right?
yes.
Yeah. So I personally feel the same way too, because as we always say, land is scarce in Singapore, and one of the most beautiful assets to hold is a landed property, because it's not easy to come by. And if you are someone who has already invested in it in a earlier stage, I know it's now a little bit more tough for the new generation to invest in landed properties, because the bar has been raised, and with the TDSR and everything, it's going to be difficult for them to purchase one in a very easy manner like how it was before. So
Mm.
well, I have that question for another day, because I've always wondered, is it really easy for an average Singaporean to own a landed property? But that's a topic by itself. So I hope we have answered your question, Mr. Koo. If you have any other questions, please put it in the comment box while we go to the next question. Okay. And before we go to the next question, okay, there's also something that we have valuers. Okay, there are a lot of valuers in Singapore, so we can also call the valuers to come in and value each individual property. I mean, they will be the best person to do it. Although Max is also able to do valuation, I believe. Well, if you are, you can always call any of the valuers that's known to you, and they will do a proper valuation. So you at least have something to talk about. Like for example, if you're an agent and you're not familiar with landed properties, with the type of things that's being used in the house, a valuer would be able to identify these things, and he will have it in his report. You have to ask him to be as detailed as possible in the report, so that you can use the report when you're marketing the property. All right. So let's go to question number 2. Okay. Max, this is a great quality of Max that I have watched, over the years. Okay, because this guy, he's really good, because he can really watch. How do you identify when a buyer is interested in the property that you're marketing?
Yeah, this is I've got this skill set over the years. The longer you are, you can see people. Some are window shopping, but normally landed property buyers are serious buyers,
Mm-hmm.
unlike condominium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, even last year I marketed six semi-detached houses.
Mm-hmm.
Of the six, I managed to sell four,
Mm-hmm.
even though there were other JMS marketing it. Very
Mm-hmm.
hard fight, and
Can you please
there
explain,
were about
sorry,
almost.
Mr. Max? Can you please explain to everyone what is JMS, please?
Oh, the joint marketing agencies. Like
Okay.
there were other agencies besides the agencies that I'm representing. There
Mm-hmm.
were three other agencies marketing it very aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
They are bringing like 10 to 20 buyers a weekend. I
Mm-hmm.
only bring about one or two. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why I bring only one or two is because over the phone call, I will shortlist them. I will
Mm-hmm.
just tell them this
Mm-hmm.
does not, doesn't have lift. You
Mm-hmm.
need to walk up. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to waste time with buyers who want an easy access to the property. So I
Mm-hmm.
just go straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the buyers will ask me, will be able to get only budget is so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I will tell them straight, no, net
Mm-hmm.
net this is the price.
Mm-hmm.
So I only bring one or two, but I managed to close, thank God.
Okay.
And more
Mm-hmm.
important, uh, we observe the buyer while
Mm-hmm.
they are looking at a house.
Mm-hmm.
What actually they are looking at?
Okay.
Are they looking to buy a house that has a swimming pool, or
Mm-hmm.
they looking at the neighbor? Are we
Mm-hmm.
too close, being a
Mm-hmm.
new development?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we looking at the size of the rooms?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you looking at a lift for comfort for their parents,
Mm-hmm.
old age people? There are
So
many
what
things
what
we
what
look
are the
at.
kind of questions you throw at them? I mean, say for example, is a direct buyer that walks into the house, or even with an agent. So what kind of questions do you throw at them to find out all these cues?
First, I ask them, do you live nearby?
Mm-hmm.
So if they live nearby, they should be able to know all the surrounding amenities, ease
Mm-hmm.
of access, transportation. even MRT. Normally, landed owners they drive.
Mhm.
But of course, having said that,
Mhm.
you literally have MRT every corner nowadays.
Okay.
So yeah, so most of the time they look at accessibility,
Okay.
location, near
Mhm.
town, um, and they look at the price. More important, location and price,
Okay. Okay.
and
So.
the urgency of the buyer. For
Mhm.
example, I sold property in Dyson Road.
Mhm.
It was a very awkward shaped land.
Okay.
A lot of agents commented it's very difficult to sell. It's
Mhm.
like two triangle putting side by side like that,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I managed to get a buyer.
Mhm.
The reason is because
Mhm.
the buyer was very desperate to move in. He already
Mhm.
sold his property
Mhm.
and he just want to get a property. He need
Mhm.
to urgently move in, and
Okay.
the developer accommodated to him.
Okay.
Let him get option. Option was
Mhm.
done, but to
Mhm.
exercise option they asked for. No, the exercise option, the
Mhm.
payment came in only after 1 year.
Mhm. Mhm.
Certain arrangements were made.
Mhm. Mhm.
So he did not get this opportunity or such a arrangement with
Mhm.
any sellers. But
Mhm. Mhm.
I managed to do it for him.
Mhm.
So he
Mhm.
was so happy. He moved
Mhm.
in.
Okay. So we have a very long question with regards to the earlier question. Okay. So are you
Oh
ready
yeah,
for this, Mr. Max?
Ramesh.
Yeah. I try to put it up on the screen, but it's going to be really long. Okay. It's going to cover
Yeah,
us. So let's see.
yeah, yeah, it's a bit small, huh?
Yeah, never mind. Let me read the question to you, Mr. Max. You
Ah,
mentioned finishings in a house affecting the valuation of a home. But would you not agree that the land size is the one that determines, the price of a landed property? I ask this because he's in the midst of rebuilding his home, which is of a modest land size in the east, and he has always wondered whether it's a sound decision in the long term, whether to rebuild his current house or to upgrade to a different class of landed property.
so his
You got the
concern
question?
is if he
Mhm.
were to spend money and
Mhm.
rebuild it, whether he has added value in future. Am I correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing
But
is, he's also saying, I mean, in his opinion, that he believes that the isn't the land size the determinant of the price, but not the quality of items
oh
being
no, no.
used. Yeah, I have
You
the
see,
answer, but I want you to answer, Mr. Max.
for landed property, let's say number one, Jalan X, and number three, Jalan X, number five, number nine, you name it, whatever.
Mhm,
It is not a same you can compare.
mhm,
For example, I can give you the house that I marketed.
mhm,
It has an in-ground pool. It is not above ground pool, in-ground pool, which is
mhm.
more costlier
Okay.
than putting up above ground pool.
Mhm,
The price is we are talking about 6 times.
mhm,
Whereas even the window panels, like what I
mhm,
mentioned earlier,
mhm,
sapphire window, the quality window,
mhm,
20 times, or sorry, 15 times expensive than an
mhm,
ordinary window.
mhm,
The same thing goes for what type of marble. So when
mhm,
I marketed the property in this District 15, I
mhm,
managed to sell it for 4.3 million.
mhm, mhm,
Whereas other corner terraces were being marketed at
mhm,
3.7, 3.9 million max.
mhm,
When the buyer came and asked me, why am I paying so much?
mhm,
Then I explained to her
mhm,
the total renovation and rebuilding cost done was
mhm,
almost 1.5 million.
mhm,
This is the savings. But we are talking about real quality stuff made in
mhm,
Germany.
mhm,
Mostly landed property owner or landed property homes,
mhm,
the DB box is only at the ground level or at the rear,
mhm,
where the maid's room or
mhm,
the helper's room or near
mhm,
the kitchen. But
mhm,
this particular house, they
mhm,
have two panels on the ground level and they
mhm,
got sub panel on
mhm,
every level, and
mhm.
they give an extra power rating of 400 watts setup for
Mhm.
future.
Yep.
And they even got an outdoor cable lined up. So as an agent, we study all this.
Mhm.
And thank God, I learned quite a lot from architects who are
Mhm.
friends
Mhm.
or contractors, engineers.
Mhm.
They explained to me what is the meaning of pile cap,
Yep.
what is the difference between this house and that house,
Mhm.
what kind of roofing. oh, this
Mhm.
is from Belgium, this
Mhm.
is from Germany, this is from China. How
Mhm.
long does it last? Definitely, when you explain this,
Mhm.
the buyer bought my story, which is the truth, and they're very happy about it because
Yep.
their house is very unique
Mhm.
compared to most houses.
Yep. So the
So
other
that
thing here is to answer Mr. Ramesh's question, because he asked about isn't the land size the determinant of the price as well? So I believe that he may
it
be
depends.
so if let's say in a row of houses, I believe all the houses in between are interterraces. Okay, they are most likely and most of the time are the same size. All right, very rarely is different sizes. Okay, so he's asking, would the land size determine the price rather than the I know that you have actually explained the qualities and the finishing
Yeah.
and the A&A and the rebuilding,
When
all
it
this is
was
cost.
rebuilt,
Yep.
when it was rebuilt is a very important question.
Mm-hmm.
That shows the age of the property.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When it is newly built up, that is the
Mm-hmm.
age of the property. So
Yep.
you can't compare land to land. You need
Mm-hmm.
to compare when this was built up and what
Mm-hmm.
kind of materials are
Mm-hmm.
used and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, just to summarize, okay, because you see, when you have the same land size, two houses side by side, okay, one house may be built maybe 35 years ago, whereas the
Mm.
guy next door, your neighbor, he might have rebuilt maybe 10 years ago, and then someone buys it up and even does more rebuilding on it, and then it's like very new today. So you're
Mm.
comparing something that is of extreme high quality to something that was built 35, 40 years ago, where even the foundation may be not that strong. So
No, no,
again,
no.
the value of that,
Foundation is usually the older the house, the foundation is stronger. So
okay,
because
okay. Mhm,
the columns are more bigger and
mhm.
totally different kind of materials were used then also.
I
The
I
modern
understand I
technology,
understand that, but there was also a point where because there's a lot of constructions happening in Singapore, and
right?
when these constructions and cable laying is all happening, sometimes the soil condition of the
Oh yeah,
surrounding
yeah,
area, this may
yes.
deteriorate things over time. So, but you're right, the foundation in the earlier days were definitely much stronger. The quality of workmanship was better. We have another question, but before that, let me just answer Ramesh once again. You should be happy with this answer because you know why. It really doesn't really matter because right now if you were to upgrade or rather sorry rebuild your house and it's of really good quality materials and everything, so in the future if you were to have a mindset to sell this place, so you must be able to explain to the buyer the type of workmanship stuff that you've used in this house, to explain to them why this is more expensive than your neighbors. So I believe we have answered your question. If not, you can always ask another question to us. Okay, Max, we have another question. Okay, with reference to the question on land size,
Mm.
been observing that developer and some owners are selling built up areas instead of the land size. So why is it so, and what should landed property owners watch out for? Why are they using the built up size to sell
This
something?
is a very interesting question because uh, the definition of built up is a very gray area. Even on legal perspective, when subject matters goes to court,
Mhm,
not all built up sizes are what you might be thinking as a buyer, which
mhm,
is a livable space.
mhm,
A lot of build up, sorry, what is that message? Oh, yeah. Okay, the built up,
mhm,
when architect draws out the archi plan, the
mhm,
built up, for example, if you look at strata title houses,
mhm,
strata landed houses.
mhm,
When the architect calculates a built up, they
mhm,
does not only calculate livable space,
mhm,
and this also applies to ordinary landed houses. When
mhm,
an architect calculates, you will
mhm,
be shocked. What?
mhm,
The built up of this is 6,900 square feet,
mhm,
and you divide by the price, it
mhm.
works out to be like 400 XX per square foot,
Almost the
300
price of HDB.
XX per square foot.
Mhm,
The truth is,
mhm,
this calculation of this landed property from the architect is legal, not illegal. There are
mhm,
two ways to calculate.
mhm,
One is livable space, which
mhm,
is much more smaller in size, meaning
mhm,
to say that 6009
mhm,
usually, if you look at only the livable space, is about 5001, 4009.
mhm,
But when it is 6009, we are
mhm,
talking about roof if. You
mhm.
know, the roof, there is a parapet that is sticking out from the
Yep,
building,
yep.
that is
There's
sticking
open
out.
open space. It's open space. Yeah.
Yes, they
Mhm,
also calculate that. They calculate the aircon ledge. They
mhm,
even calculate the footpath on your garden.
mhm, mhm,
Even when you go up to the top
mhm,
story, the
mhm,
rooftop, where the
mhm,
protrusion of your corridor
mhm,
parapet comes out, they
mhm,
also calculate that portion.
mhm.
When you add up all these, the built up seems to be like, wow, 6,009
Yep.
divided by 5 million.
Mhm,
I'm only buying the property for 400 XX. This is
mhm,
how they market.
mhm,
So when a buyer don't ask,
mhm,
we won't tell. But to be frank with you, I
mhm,
always explain and let them know, because when they come and buy a property from me, when
mhm,
I'm marketing a property, say
mhm,
900 per square foot, they will ask
mhm,
me, hey, how come this developer only selling it
mhm,
500 XX per square foot? Then
mhm,
we will explain to them. So the
mhm,
build up depends on how the architect calculates
mhm.
the build up. And
So
the cost does
you
not necessarily mean it equates to the
mhm,
livable space.
mhm. So you just opened a new can of worms. So now you have actually informed all the buyers and also the agents watching the program. Okay, that next time they go there, they will be starting to ask all the agents, "Can you show me the architect plan? Can you show me exactly how much is
Oh,
this
yeah.
particular area of this?" I mean, I believe so. That's how drawings for the private properties, condos and everything. They have different sizes for different parts of the house.
Like what
So
Mr. Rama you have mentioned, I think we have also sat down in one of the houses in Dyson. We
mhm.
went through all the archi plan. Can you recall that?
Yep, yep,
We were
definitely, yeah.
literally going through which wall can be removed, what is RC column,
Hmm.
what is a sewerage line. We were
Hmm.
going through. Can you recall that? The reason
Yep.
why we go through all this, when a buyer come and ask me, I
Hmm.
wanted to extend this, I wanted to
Hmm.
do this.
Hmm.
So not many agents are able to answer that. We are not
Hmm.
just selling landed houses. We
Hmm.
need to give them the solution. What can you
Hmm.
do? But of course, I always disclaim this.
Hmm.
We are not engineers. I'm not
Hmm.
an architect. I'm not
Hmm.
licensed to even endorse whatever I'm saying. Please,
Hmm.
subject to approval from the
Hmm.
authorities. So, but
Hmm.
we know roughly this is it. What you can do, what you cannot do.
Okay, I've got a little bit of question from Robin soon. Robin, glad that you can join us. Let me read that to you, okay? I think maybe what Ramesh is asking, or a follow-up to his question,
Or
is
this
it
is
a
a
wise
serious
move
line.
if I choose to rebuild, gain more built-up space, but lose one third of my land due to the front and back setup,
That's
setback?
very true. That's because of the legal requirements, probably DGP plan, the
Mm-hmm,
drainage or setback lines for LTA. It
mm-hmm,
depends what kind of setback. We call
mm-hmm,
it the red
mm-hmm,
line lah. You know what
mm-hmm,
I mean, Sarama?
mm-hmm,
If you're going to rebuild the entire house, what you can do, you maybe can perhaps do an A&A.
mm-hmm,
There are three components, 50%. Within 50%, don't
mm-hmm,
exceed the 50% mark for structural,
mm-hmm,
for build up or building,
mm-hmm,
and depend on the plot ratio as well. As long as
mm-hmm,
you don't exceed that 50% mark,
mm-hmm,
you don't get to lose that one
mm-hmm,
third of the land.
mm-hmm.
Actually, nobody wants to lose that one third of land
Of course.
until one day
Mm-hmm,
the Singapore government or
mm-hmm,
SLA acquires the land. That's a different story.
mm-hmm.
So you
Okay,
need to
Ramesh.
understand the architect how you can play with
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
to avoid this um, losing of one third of your land. Yeah.
Okay. Ramesh has got another question as well, follow up to the earlier one. Thanks for engaging with us, Ramesh. We really wish a lot more people were to engage with us so we can answer all these questions. Okay, I've seen listings marketing land size and built up areas. Sometimes I see reference to built up space as well. What is the difference between built in and built up?
It's the same. That's why it's a gray area.
Yeah.
Even cases have gone to court. It's a gray area. This is what mentioned to me by a lawyer. So built up, built in.
Just
Uh,
to give you a little warning, the person asking this question is a lawyer himself,
yeah,
so he
yeah,
knows what he's
yeah, I
asking.
know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know he's a lawyer, and he's
Yeah.
from one of the top law firm. Very
Yeah,
humble
so he's
man.
he's purposely asking you this question. As a matter of fact, we actually discussed this answer before, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and answer him.
It's a very gray area, built in and built up. I even asked this question with an architect. They said it's the same definition, but even cases have gone to court. Even lawyers have told me it's a very gray area.
Mhm. Okay. So, okay, good. We have discussed quite a fair bit on this. I hope we have answered most of the questions on the following issues. So, I'm going to go to the next question. Okay, the next question is okay. It's still related to whatever we have been discussing. Is it better to rebuild your current house or upgrade? What are the pros and cons? I think we have already finished covering that question because of the questions that was posted by the audience. Okay, so I will go to the next one. So this is a very, very interesting question, Mr. Max. I'm
Uh-huh.
sure a lot of them will be wanting to know the answer for this one because it's a very popular question usually. Freehold versus leasehold lender. Why? What's your
Location.
advice? Which one to buy? Which
Location.
one to go for?
I mean, majority of the landed owners or buyers, they prefer to buy freehold. This is our observation. But if you ask me personally, it depends on the location. If you're worried about prices dropping, for example, um, 5 years ago, I sold this property in Jalan Uji for almost 500,000.
Mm-hmm,
Remaining lease was 32 years. Five
mm-hmm,
years ago or six
mm-hmm,
years ago,
mm-hmm,
I sold it for 500,000, 550,000. I can't recall, sorry. But
mm-hmm,
right now, the same owner is putting it up for sale at
mm-hmm.
550,000. Remaining lease is 26 years.
Yep.
If- So far, this week alone,
Mm-hmm,
I have received about 109 messages. How
mm-hmm.
come you're selling a landed property at 550,000? And this we are talking about Jalan Uji at District 21
Mm-hmm,
behind Rail Mall.
mm-hmm,
Beautiful single story, four bedroom. I'm not trying to market here, but
mm-hmm,
I'm just trying to say
mm-hmm,
there are landed properties that leasehold is getting lower and lower. Their first question is,
mm-hmm.
will the Singapore government take the land back after
Yes.
the expiry of?
Mm-hmm,
And I always tell them this
mm-hmm,
because they told me some
mm-hmm,
agents told these buyers,
mm-hmm,
you can do an extension.
mm-hmm,
We don't know. The
mm-hmm,
truth is, we do not know. If
mm-hmm,
I know, I will buy it. If there
mm-hmm.
is extension, agents would have bought it because the extension value at that point of time will be
Mm-hmm.
determined by Ministry of Finance
Yep.
on land value.
Mm-hmm,
And you need to pay whether 60 years,
mm-hmm,
99 years, it depends.
mm-hmm,
So we don't know. And the current property owner have
mm-hmm,
already checked with the
mm-hmm,
government or the
mm-hmm,
minister. And the
mm-hmm,
minister, Mr. Vivian Balakrishnan, replied to them, it
mm-hmm,
is too early to determine at this
mm-hmm.
juncture.
Yep. Yep.
So this is what I've been answering all of them. And we did got offers.
Mm-hmm,
At all are ridiculous offers,
mm-hmm,
400K.
mm-hmm.
One guy even tell me, you
I
can't
believe these guys they most probably they buy it because they see the number of years that's left and then see if I were to take this up for this X value and divide it by the number of months that's balanced and see if they can get a better rent on it and then make money out of it.
oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
this is the
You're
only
absolutely
possibility.
right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so this
You
is the
can make
only type of buyers that would
around
want to buy this. Yeah.
yeah, you can make around $800 a month
Mm-hmm.
if you divide that principal amount
Yep.
without interest being incurred. It's about
Mm-hmm.
800 to 800 is max. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, just a little question. I believe you know this property called Victoria Villas.
Oh yeah, the cemetery.
Yeah.
Formerly it was the cemetery. Yeah.
If you didn't tell anyone that's a cemetery, I mean, most of them would not know it's a cemetery. I mean, if they
Oh,
didn't
the Victoria Park.
do their research.
Yeah,
But
I
the
used to,
funny part here is Victoria Villas is a gated community. Okay, so
yeah,
it's bungalows basically, but bungalows that are offered or that was offered on a 99-year lease.
correct.
All right, and it's fully sold if I'm not wrong. Okay, and it was transacted in the range of minimum price was 4 point X million to all the way
Yes,
up to 6 7 million and all these things. So I
correct.
the question here is why is there an interest at this kind of quantum for a 99-year lease? Why?
First of all, it's brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, if you look at this is actually semi-detached houses and D10, District 10.
Yep.
The location plays a very important role, and PSF is about 1,007, 1,006.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking at a quantum of 4 million to 4.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why most of the units were snapped up
Mm-hmm.
is because If you look at the historical um, information of that area, Kings Road, Queens, Duchess Avenue, you go further up 6th Avenue, within District 10, a lot of citizens of Singapore who are actually quite an elderly, they got their children, second generation, third generation, they want to live near their parents. And they are the one who bought it. And another group of buyers bought it is because Nanyang Primary, Raffles Primary, within walking distance.
Yep. Good
When I
schools and yeah.
when my developer, one of my friends, developer acquired bungalow land at Duchess Avenue for $6 million. No, sorry, yeah, 4 million plus, and we built up. Because Duchess Avenue, you got two sides. Though what I'm trying to say is most of the owners there, their children, and the reason it's sold high, even though it is 99, is because of location, good schools around that area, and accessibility of traffic. If you go by the Kings Road, you come out at Farrer Court,
Especially with the new train station and all, right?
Oh yeah. You got Tan Kah Kee Station,
So
and you also
definitely
have
the
Farrer Court.
transformation of the particular area plays a big role in whether a 99-year lease landed
Yeah, it
property
doesn't
is.
matter. And brand new. Most of it comes with, and this is actually a clustered
Okay.
community where you got a swimming pool, a beautiful landscape, and these are the latest developers that is actually concentrating more on a green buffer,
Yep.
beautiful landscape. The moment you walk in, you fall in love, like Leiden residences. Yeah.
I don't see any questions related to the freehold or leasehold from the audience, so we'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
Okay, this one is a personal question. Basically, it's something that it's to pick on your experience. Basically, what has been the most memorable landed property transaction in your career,
Memorable,
or
so
maybe your
many.
first one? Yeah, I mean something that you can just offhand just think of it and share with us.
There's one which happened last year
Mm-hmm.
along Dyson Road. It
Mm-hmm.
was a tough cookie to sell, very tough,
Mm-hmm.
because you need to walk up 18 steps. You need to park your car. You
Mm-hmm.
need to walk up 18 steps to access the living area. And from the living area to go up another
Mm-hmm.
2 floors.
Mm-hmm.
It was a real tough cookie.
Okay. So
And that was
did you
a
manage to sell it
memorable
at the end of
one.
the day?
Sorry?
Do you manage to sell it at the end of the day?
Yeah, I managed to sell 4 out of 6.
Okay, so
And
it's
that was
developer unit, I believe. Yeah.
it's a developer unit, yeah.
Okay, okay. So you managed to sell 4 out of 6. So I believe there were other agents marketing it as well, right?
Oh yeah. They're all the famous, they're landed specialists in that area.
Yeah, because I remember I was there with you.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
you 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 brought your buyers, yeah.
yep. So interesting. So how do you actually uh, look at competition when it comes to developer units? I believe that you have worked for a lot of developers before, selling landed property as well as other types of properties. So I'm sure when you're marketing, there's competition and everything. See, I do remember maybe 7 8 years ago, our life is like this. During weekends we are all viewing. Then there will be a window of opportunity, which I call, to have a little break, a coffee session. So if we are in the same, say for example, we're both in the east, okay, and then I'll call you and ask you where are you, and then you'll be marketing this landed property from morning all the way to the evening time. You're just sitting there and waiting for buyers to come in. It's like an open
I,
house.
I got to pause you at this juncture.
Yeah.
I recall you have bought me lunch several times when I
Yep.
was in Dyson.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Dyson literally morning 8 o'clock until night 10 p.m. And
Mm-hmm.
you will buy lunch. And because I don't want to leave the premises, even
Mm-hmm.
that half an hour, I'm worried the
Mm-hmm.
buyer might be taken away like an eagle by other agents.
Yep. True,
Yeah.
true. I also remember there was
I,
once. I mean, this is just a little bit of fun time. Okay, there's once I went to meet Max. I think it's about what, maybe 3 o'clock in the evening, and then he was there, so super moody and everything. And I was asking him, "What's wrong?" He said, look here. I invested in this banner, and some idiot, some clown monkey just tore this banner away.
yeah,
I got to go and buy another one.
yeah, they cut my banner and throw it in a rubbish bin. If they throw the whole banner, it's okay. But they throw half here, another half don't know go where.
Yep. I'm sure.
The
So I mean,
competition was so high. Yeah.
mhm. I mean, it's just the same for me as in my most memorable landed property transaction is well, I'm a bit hesitant because you know why? My buyer is here, online, and he's the first person to join us on this interview today. So I'm a bit I'm going to anyway share it right now. So basically, it was an open listing, Max. I think I've shared this with you as an open listing. So I
Hmm.
had to fight with another two more agents to sell this house. I was working for the seller, but then one fine day, this was many years ago, I think iPhone very first version during that period, but I didn't
I
have an
think.
iPhone then. Yeah, I didn't
Hmm.
have an iPhone. I didn't have a smartphone then. So I was having normal phone, and we used to write down everything on a piece of paper. So there comes along this buyer, with his wife, and then it was a corner terrace in Still Road. Okay, I believe my client is still staying there. Okay, and so out of the blues, they just came in, and before him, I was marketing the place for about almost a month, and I got about say 35 to 40 buyers who came to see. So I painstakingly wrote down everything about them in a piece of paper, who they are, their address, their phone number, email, everything. It was all manual those times. And then this buyer comes along, and he likes this house, and he makes an offer, and somehow or other we managed to close this. But something that I didn't know was they actually sold their property across the road, somewhere in Telok Kurau. Okay,
Hmm.
so they had actually sold the property to a buyer who is not a Singaporean. It was a PR. So you know that PRs and foreigners are not allowed to buy, but unless they get approval, from Land
Subject to
Development
approval. Yeah.
Authority. Yeah. So somehow or other, they gave an option to sell their house. But unfortunately, they have
Hmm.
also given option to me. Sorry, we have given option to them to buy my property, right? The property that I was marketing. But unfortunately, the other side didn't exercise because the approval was unsuccessful. So here they are now holding on to two properties, and they were in a dilemma, and they came to me and they asked, Rama, what shall we do now? And guess what? This is my first case, landed property. What do you think I will be thinking at that point in time? I was super new, but somehow I managed the situation, and I was actually only thinking for the seller at the point in time, although he's watching right now. I confidently asked him, can you give me another 1% option fee? I will extend the option for you by another 1 or 2 weeks. I can't remember now. And they trusted me. So I asked them, what is the problem? And they explained to me the problem, that their house, the option didn't go through because the buyer was a PR and was unsuccessful.
Hmm.
So they
Hmm.
told me, can you market my place and get it sold off in the next 1 to 2 weeks? Then I'll give you this extra 1% option. That means now my seller is holding on to 2% option fee. If they do not buy the house, they're going to lose 2%. That's a risk. But somehow or other, these people, they actually trusted me. Okay. And they said, I let you market my property. And those days we didn't have internet marketing, to get to people very fast. We didn't know all these things. So all I had with me was this 35 buyers who came to see my corner terrace across the road. And it was a Friday, I remember. I took up the phone call, Straight Times. I advertised straight Friday,
Yeah. Good.
Saturday.
Good.
Yep, open house. And the market was good at the point in time. And at the time, a lot of people came during the weekend, plus all these
Hmm.
35 people who I messaged. And voila, within that Sunday, the property got sold at an even higher price than it was previously sold. They were really very happy. And I tell you, that was my first landed property transaction. It was two cases.
Congratulations.
So
Congratulations.
I was very lucky, very blessed. And I'm very happy that he's watching the show today, that he knows the full story as well. He knows a little bit of it, but not the full thing. But if he's watching, maybe he can say hi to me now, because I saw him earlier on asking questions. So yep, that's been most memorable. And for a new agent, can you believe, if you get such a blessing, to transact landed properties two at one go? So that was a super motivating episode for me.
Oh, definitely. Every closing, you have that happiness. And more important, I always tell this even when I was doing training, when I
Mhm.
was a trainer, with previous one of the academy, I was
Mhm.
a CPD and RES trainer. I
Mhm.
always tell agents,
Mhm.
step on the right foot, be
Mhm.
ethical. Be ethical, be honest, and
Mhm.
you'll never go wrong. And maybe perhaps you would have advised this group of clients,
Mhm.
and they would have seen the genuinity of you
Mhm.
explaining processes, how to go about, how to resolve it. This is our job. And
You're
congratulations.
absolutely right, Max, because you know what? The most important thing is how do you prepare for the appointment? How do you prepare yourself for the viewing? Because this is where people are looking at you. This is where you should showcase yourself. You should not be rushing for appointments and everything. You should be presentable. You should have all the facts and figures with you. You're meeting buyers who have never seen you before. So they may have seen many other properties, and this is your chance to shine,
You
you
need
know?
to
So,
understand the property is something like, let's say you are selling some products,
mhm,
and this particular product, you need to, let's say you're selling a phone, all
mhm,
right? You need to know about the phone
mhm,
before you can even market it.
mhm,
What
mhm,
exactly this phone can do? What
mhm,
are the features? What are the
mhm,
options available? Same
mhm,
thing applies for property.
mhm, mhm,
Some of us take it very lightly. Oh,
mhm,
house for sale,
mhm,
land size. This is the master bedroom. This
mhm,
is the kitchen. You think
mhm.
we don't know? We all know.
Tour
We
guide,
all
tour
know
guide. We call them tour guides.
tour guides.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Besides explaining this is a living, this is a bedroom.
Mhm,
What else can you go into it?
mhm,
A little bit more deeper.
mhm,
Why
mhm,
this house is so special compared to many other houses being
mhm.
sold at that very period
Correct, correct.
or available for sale? How are you
Mhm.
so special? What makes it special?
Okay.
This is where you need to identify. And more
Mhm,
important, you cannot be
mhm,
repeating the whole whatever research you have done like a parrot to every buyer. No, every buyer is unique.
mhm,
Some buyers only want to hear
mhm,
land cost.
mhm,
Some buyers very detailed. They want to
mhm,
know what is the materials being used.
mhm, mhm,
Some buyers are very unique. I
mhm,
only want this particular facing, and
mhm,
I have lost deals because
mhm,
of Feng Shui Master.
mhm,
A doctor who came and gave a check to me.
mhm,
This happened in Jalan near Dairy Farm Road,
mhm, mhm,
Jalan Penhas.
mhm,
All right, it is a Chestnut Residences.
mhm,
Okay, Chestnut Residences. I managed to sell 8 houses out of 10.
mhm,
And this particular doctor came and gave me the check. She
mhm,
said, Max, this check is for you. I'm
mhm,
confirmed buying this
mhm,
property at this
mhm,
X amount.
mhm,
But I got one condition. You
mhm,
tell the developer to hold this check for one night, just
mhm,
one night.
mhm,
Tomorrow my feng shui master will come down.
mhm,
And in my heart, I wasn't excited. I
mhm,
did not even celebrate with the
mhm,
check. You know
mhm.
why?
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. I celebrated before and I was crying the following day. Oh
Yeah.
God.
Mhm,
It happened in our life always.
mhm,
And when the feng shui master came, he
mhm,
sat down there, he bring
mhm,
one big compass. Even
mhm,
Singapore armed forces don't have such a compass.
mhm.
But the feng shui master, he bring the big compass, he put
Mhm,
it right in the smack the center of the house. Straight away, he looked at the doctor,
mhm,
tiger's mouth.
mhm,
He pointed again and says, a tiger's mouth.
mhm,
Do you know the doctor cried? The buyer cried. She
mhm,
was crying.
mhm,
She said, I love this house. The
mhm,
greenery is so beautiful. But my feng shui master said, I cannot proceed. Max,
mhm,
can you give me one more night?
mhm.
Let me see whether I can mitigate. But unfortunately, I told her, for a cluster house,
Mhm,
it is come under control housing. You cannot do certain.
mhm,
There's a thing called restrictive covenants.
mhm,
You
mhm,
comply to the state orders where this
mhm,
property is concerned. It's not
mhm,
an individual private landed.
mhm,
Cluster houses very strict. You
mhm,
can't even put timber cladding on the grass verge and all that.
mhm,
So she said she want to redo the wall, redo. I said cannot.
mhm,
Facade is controlled.
mhm, mhm.
And she cried. She poor thing. I mean, there goes a buyer.
Did they buy at the end of the day?
She went and bought another property lah, but not through me. That was
Mhm,
1 year later.
mhm. So, Max, we only have about another 10 minutes before we end the show. It's going to be an hour. Very interesting, and I'm very
Wow.
happy that a lot of
1 hour
them
plus, my God.
yeah, engaged with us today. So, before we call it a day, I want to just talk about a very interesting thing about landed properties that I think It'll be very,
Uh,
very informative for agents as well who are watching this show right now, and also buyers. Things to look out for when you go shopping. All right. See, the thing that generally is there are different types of landed property: interterrace, corner terrace, semi-D, detached, bungalows, and everything. But there's one type of property that I've came across, which is called the end terrace.
oh yeah, yeah. You told, yeah, you were marketing one, right?
Oh, I'm glad that you remember that one, because
Oh
this
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
another
Very
memorable
unique property.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Thompson area, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, you see, corner terraces are usually at the end, two ends of a row of houses, and the ones
Yes.
in the middle are usually known as the interterraces.
Yep.
Okay, and usually the two corner terraces, they have a setback area at the end. I mean, to the side. Okay, and after this setback area is where your boundary line is. Okay,
Mm.
and after your boundary line, usually there's a walkway or there's a road.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but for end terraces, the funny part is it is also at the end of a row of houses. Okay, but they do not have any setback area. Their wall is actually sitting on the boundary line.
Mm. Mm.
So this is what end terrace is. I mean, for those who don't know what an end terrace is, you can't find it on URA website. It's very difficult to find. I tried finding it, but it's not there. But it exists. It's known as an end terrace. And in my experience, the particular house I was marketing was actually a semi-D. But this semi-D was sharing the boundary line with the end terrace. Can you believe that? That means a semi-D has got a setback, right? And a corner terrace by right should also have a setback, and there should be a road or a walkway in the middle.
Mm.
But
Mm.
the end terrace did not have a walkway or a road after the boundary line, whereas
Mm.
it was actually attached to a semi-D. And you know
Yeah,
what's the funny part?
there's a link house at the back. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Go
and the
on.
funny part was the end terrace, the owners of the end terrace, actually had a setback of about zero point 0.6 to zero point 0.7 meters. And this is actually encroachment.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
this
yeah,
was,
yeah.
you
Even
remember
the
this case?
lawyers cannot resolve this issue. I recall now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But eventually a developer bought this house from me. And it was so difficult to sell this house because you know why? We had to get a written letter from the owner to agree that they have encroached, which they didn't want to in the initial stages, until we actually told them that every particular type of property has certain characteristics. And especially a
Mm.
setback has got a setback, and because of you, the setback is not being observed here. So we got a lawyer to write into them, really detailed with all the diagrams that I drew for the lawyer. They actually submitted, and
Mm.
somehow or rather they went to engage certain lawyers, and they say you better not fight them, and better give in to him. And we tried to mitigate in such a way that now they have to give up the place that they encroached. As a matter of
Mm.
fact, at the end terrace in the boundary line, the aircon compressor was actually protruding out to their land. So now they got to remove all these things and give
Yeah,
the land
because
back to
of
them.
yeah.
So all this extra work cost money. So we got the guys who
Oh,
bought the semi-D,
mm.
they are contractors, right? So they said we will bear the cost to do up the house for the next door, which is the neighbor. So I'm telling you, this is a it's another blessing.
Yeah.
Not every day you get a chance like this, to
So,
get both parties to agree.
there is, oh, okay, having said about encroachment,
Mm,
there is a property in Singh Avenue, number 2 or number 8, Singh
mm,
Avenue.
mm,
The landed owner has
mm,
encroached in this Bliss Regalia
mm,
for 30 over years.
mm,
2 meters, huh, Rama?
mm. Two
Until
meters
the
encroachment.
developer acquired the land,
Mm,
yes. And then when the surveyor come and calculate, then
mm,
they realize 2
mm,
meter of the land was encroached. And
mm,
of course, through legal means, they acquire back the land, they push
mm,
back their fencing,
mm,
blah blah blah. There are a lot of properties like that, indeed. So I'm glad. Yeah, that time I remember we were cracking our head because
mm,
even legally we can't do anything much to the other owner until the order was given. Yeah.
mm. Yep. Anyway, the just for little fun facts, the neighbor who I was talking about who encroached was the wife of a very famous football player in Singapore in the olden days. I can't mention any name though.
Oh.
So, yeah. So that's the story. So we are nearing the end of the interview, Mr. Max. I didn't know that we were going to do almost an hour of interview today,
Yeah.
but I'm very glad
Thank
that,
you so much. I also didn't
yeah,
realize 1 hour
yeah.
has passed.
Actually, to be honest with you, I was pretty nervous since it's the first time for you and me, okay, with all this technical stuff that's going up, which I have to also handle. And but well, this is how we are going to communicate in the future, or at least for now. This is quite interesting and a different way to engage with people. And thank you once again for sharing your screen time with us.
Thank you
It's
so
a
much.
Sunday. Yep.
Yeah.
Go
Thank you
on.
so much for being a friend
Yep.
and nice buddy to co-broke, always co-broke. Thank you so much. Thank
Yep.
you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rahman.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you,
tuning in.
everyone.
Yep. So if you have any questions, please continue to put it up on the comment box, and or once the show is over, you can also still engage with us on my page. You can message me if you have any
Mr. Rahman,
questions.
we're supposed to talk about Sentosa. We did not.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I can ask the rest of them who are watching. There are 35 of them watching right now. We actually wanted to talk about Sentosa Cove.
Yeah.
Would you guys be interested in listening to that? We'll just see if there's any comments coming in. Then we can discuss that for the next 5 to 10 minutes. And before that, after that, we can end the session. Looks like they may be tired right now, so there's a
Yeah.
lag. So I might only come in, let's see. Nope, I think we'll keep it for another day, Max. We'll talk about
Yeah.
Sentosa Cove
Sure.
another
Sure.
day. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys. Thank you for
It
logging
was a
in.
wonderful session, and thank you, everyone, for
Yep.
watching us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you. Swami Shanam.